I mean, I just want to say something about our, why I think where people could be developing, where communities could be, and the ones that we've touched on are. And part of it, a big part of it, is the distinction that we've made between learning and development. And when I was in undergraduate school or graduate school, people talked about, they talked about the relationship between the two in this very abstract way. But we've come to create a very intimate relationship to these terms and what they mean. And part of what makes it possible for our communities to develop is because we believe in development. And we know that, I know that they're not developing based on all of the educational approaches and policies and positions that have been created in this country in schools of education or for education. They've literally come out of a recognition that there's something other than getting graded, taking a test, sitting in a classroom, reading or writing. That there's something very, very critical and important to human beings, and that's their growing. And given that our communities, the Black and Latino community in this country, have been deprived of that growth in so many ways, for so many reasons, because of poverty, to not recognize that and engage it as part of what you're doing in helping young people come to terms with who they are and helping them to become learners, I think it's a huge crisis. It's what's made the front pages of the newspapers over the many, many years, including most recently, about their inability to do school well. That you can't do school well if you're not doing life well. So this assumption that it's all about school, we have to let go of. The degree to which the young people and the people that we're working with recognize that growth is so critical has made a huge difference. And saying to kids you should go to school so you can get a good education means nothing if they're not developed. And I think we just have to teach that and create with it in everything that we do. I want to organize everybody in New York City who cares about this to come to terms with the fact that there's something else that young people in our communities can and must do if they have a shot at dealing with almost anything in their lives in ways that are progressive and decent. And I want you to talk about how you taught us all that.
As you were talking, I was thinking and wanted to say, and will, by way of answering you, that when you were doing your dissertation, you knew that, and you didn't know you knew it. And how you came, Lenora's dissertation was about Black kids and math, and
about which I knew nothing.
How did you pick the topic?
Because I was pissed off. According to the literature, we couldn't count. So I just made up a dissertation about young people's relationship to numbers, and I won't go into it with you. And I was determined to demonstrate that they could do something with numbers, even if it wasn't to count them. And I talked a little bit about Piaget, and by then I had met Lois, so I put stuff in about Vygotsky. And every now and then when I feel like I want to humiliate myself, I can read it. But what I most loved about it was like a political stand. So I think what I knew is that I wasn't going to produce something that was a further attack on them. And you were of tremendous help. I had a great time getting through it. And I was running for governor
at the same time. I needed some help. Yeah, it was, and I think it was a polemic, and it was politically motivated, and it was your moral outrage as well. But I want to say that I think what you're saying about the focus on development and our discoveries that have advanced in some ways by Vygotsky's discoveries about learning leading development rather than being determined by whatever developmental level you're at is something Fred and I say that nobody ever picks up on, I think because it's just too outrageous, is that learning leads development, and in being put in new situations where you're supported to perform ahead of where you are, ahead of your developmental level, you discover what you had to have known in order to have done the thing you did. And that's what performance helps you to do. You get on the stage and you do this thing that you've never thought about, never done. You said, I don't know how to sing. And you sing. And in the singing, you discover what you had to have known in order to have been able to sing. So that's what I mean. I think you knew development was key to, I won't even say mathematical ability, to playing and having some intimate relationship with numbers, that it wasn't an issue of education, but through whatever it was that all the environments where learning does lead development that this community has created, you discovered what you had to have known in order to have written that dissertation.
I believe you, Lois.